the Peak Design Travel Tripod. It's a nearly perfect tripod for those interested in travel or wildlife photography and videography. There's a lot of things that are great about this, but there are some things that I tweaked that fit my personal preference. So I've been using the Peak Design Travel Tripod for over a year, and I figured with all my uses with it, I had a couple different things and pieces of advice that I could provide. Now I've taken this tripod all over the United States, from Colorado to Alaska to Boston, and I've used it in many different circumstances. There's a lot of great things and a lot of amazing things I love about this tripod. So I love being able to sit at a riverbank and have the legs out to where I can be sitting in the water and get an eye level shot of the animal. So what these things are is those things that just make it a little more custom to me, a little more user friendly, and take a lot of the thinking out of using the tripod and allowing me to focus on the camera and my shot. The first and most obvious thing that I did was I added this camo wrap to the legs. Now this does a couple different things. First of all, it's reusable, so you can take this on and off. So if you're at a wedding, you're not the guy with the camo tripod at a wedding. But if you're out in the wilderness, it provides just a little bit of camouflage. In addition to that, in hot or cold temperatures, grabbing aluminum or the carbon fiber even, it can be a little uncomfortable on the hands. So this is just, it makes it a lot more comfortable to grab. But this isn't like the Lenscoat leg covers for the tripods. It's just a $12 camo wrap that I got at Academy, and I just threw it on the tripod. The next thing that I have here is if I'm working this lens and I'm moving it around and I'm tightening it and loosening it, if I'm tracking an object, I don't want to accidentally unlock it and have my camera fall out. So what I did was right here, I added a piece of skate tape. You can also use a piece of Velcro, and it just gives you a textured feel to let you know that you are on the locked side. So just having that textured feel as I'm locking and unlocking my camera to move it around, I know that it's still in a locked position and that my camera is not going to come undone. So this is a very good method to ensure that you know that your camera is locked or unlocked without having to lean over and look. Again, if you're trying to follow something with your eye to the eyepiece and you're locking and unlocking, you don't want to accidentally shift it over and run the risk of your camera falling out. So sticking with tape, if you're ever in a pinch and you need gaff tape, just put it around the legs. I put it across the top so when I put the legs up, that it doesn't interfere with it. So if you put it across the top legs, then you have gaff tape if you need it in a pinch. Much like this wrap tape, but this is a lot better for electronic cords, different things on the ground. So having gaff tape in a pinch, it's just great to put it around your tripod. I put it just under my key here because I'm not putting camo on both sides, so I figured that was a great place to put it. And moving right above that, we have the Allen key that I actually put on a piece of paracord. Now this thing is so easy to just knock out that I found that putting a piece of paracord on it keeps you from losing it. And I've knocked this out before and didn't even realize that it fell out and found it a couple days later. Luckily I was still on location, but you don't want to lose this. Peak Design kind of charges the premium for their little tool. It fits nicely there, but that little cord there just makes sure it's a little more secure and that you're not going to lose it. So you can take this out and obviously you can tie and untie it, but when I set the length of the paracord, I made sure that the maximum height of this tripod, that this was still long enough to not interfere, or if I turned it upside down, that this length was still long enough to not be pulling on the key or not be pulling the camera any sort of different way. But this is a really great method to keeping your key safe. And that last thing, as you know, is I'm rocking the 200 to 600 on this Peak Design Travel Tripod. It definitely can hold it, but the thing you want to do is you want to tighten each one of these legs. Now, when you've seen the reviews of it and everyone just unlocking the legs and throwing them all down, it's not going to work quite as well with that when you tighten the legs, but it's a lot better than if you're putting extra weight on one of these legs and they end up slipping and your camera falling over. So when you tighten these legs with the Allen key, you're going to be able to handle that extra weight up here. In addition to that, if you're hanging a backpack on the bottom here, you don't want it sinking then either. So tightening these legs, it makes it a little less user-friendly for locking and unlocking, but it's still better than the method of the twisty things where you have to go through loosen, 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 tighten, tighten, tighten. This tripod is still so much better, but just tightening the legs, it just allows for those heavier lenses, heavier bodies, different equipment on your camera without you having to stress about it. So when I took this to Alaska and I was in the river with it, I was rocking the 200 to 600 with teleconverters, with my microphone, and having a great time and not worried about my camera falling. Now there's many other ways that you can modify this tripod for you. There's a lot of third-party accessories which are great, from the feet to the camera head adapter. When I was in Alaska, I would have loved to have a video fluid head on here. It would have been a lot better for when I was filming the bears. So there's a lot of different hacks that you can do to a tripod, whether it's the Peak Design tripod or one that you have. So if you have anything, let me know down below, and I would love to get some tips and advice on different hacks that work as far as using a tripod goes. But thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.